Hi, I'm Kay of Kay's Creative Home. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to share how I make this two-heart wreath for the Valentine season. Let's get started. Hi, this is Kay of Kay's Creative Home. Welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I welcome you with open arms and I hope you enjoy yourself here on my channel. Today we're making a two-heart wreath and I'm starting with the first heart frame from Dollar Tree. And you can see I'm using some deco mesh tubing and I'm going to be weaving it in and out of the sides of the heart frame until the entire frame is covered. And you know how you weave back and forth, just go over, under, over, you know, repeating the pattern until you get the entire frame filled up. So the idea here is to fill in the frame with something that's pretty, it's silky looking, it's got some bling to it. So it's very pretty when you finish using this deco mesh tubing. And it also has a little bit of dimension because the tubing isn't flat. So I'm going to be weaving this back and forth for a minute. And then because it's at this part of the heart, it's the same length on both sides. All I have to do is just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until I get it done. So I'm going to stop in a minute and show you how far we've gotten and push the tubing in a little tighter so you can see how it's going to kind of look in the end. So that's the beginning. Now you see I've come along a little ways. I've kind of filled in the area and I kind of just do mine loosely and then I go back and tighten it up a little bit. That way I can make sure I'm getting it even. The tightness is even throughout and I don't have one strand really tight and another strand really loose. You want to be careful to not pull it so that it twists and goes flat on you. This deco mesh tubing will go flat if you don't do it correctly. You can see right there I had to pull it loose again and let some air get back inside because it was flat in one area. And I'm just going through tightening up each round and making sure, like I said, that it's not too tight, not too loose. And then I'm going to push this all back together again so you can see how it's going to look when we finish. So for the past about 3 years on this channel, I've been doing home decor, home organization, and thrifting, shopping, things like that. And now I've decided, based on my subscribers' interest, to do more wreaths. So this is the second one I've done this year. Both have been Valentine wreaths. If you missed the first one, I'll put a link for that in the description box below. There'll be a playlist starting of all my wreaths. And there's also going to be in the description box below a playlist for how to make a bow. I did an entire series on how to make a bow, so you can go there if you want to learn how to make different types of bows using different types of materials. So I'm going to continue working through this. This will be the last heart wreath that I do for this season, and then I'm going to be starting on spring wreaths and maybe some Easter wreaths. So they'll be coming soon. As I shared at the beginning of the year, I will also have some wreaths available for sale. I am in the process of still trying to decide, do I want to do an Etsy shop or do I want to do Shopify? Oh, there's so many things out there to do, to help you make your decision, but they can sometimes leave you questioning more. So as soon as I have that done, I will let you all know. So here we go. I've gotten this first section done and pushed it together. And now I've finished that whole complete section in between the bars. So here's the first bar I'm going to go over. And as you see, I go under the middle bar. And then when I come up, I'm on the other side of the bar that's going the same direction as my tubing. So that way it kind of holds it in place. I don't end up with like a gap like showing. So now that I've got over the bar, I've gone as far as I can go to where the inside of the heart has reached a point. So now I'm going to go all the way over to that next bar there. And now I'm going to be weaving back and forth from that point. So I decided to wrap it around the inside again to kind of hold it in place to make sure it doesn't move. So it will be locked on that side. So now I'm going to go back and forth weaving through here until I get to the end of that next one. You see that center bar coming down the heart? That's going to stop, when it reaches that end point there, then I'm going to have to jump over and do some more weaving back and forth past that point. So let's get to that point and then I'll show you what we do next. So now that we've reached the end there, the next thing is going to be to just go back and forth in this big open space here. And it's just going to be over, taking the tubing, going over the bar and then around it, coming back underneath and then to the other side, going over it, coming, wrapping around it, and then coming back to the other side again. And I'm just going to keep doing that till I fill up this entire space. Now that that's done, I'm all the way down to the bottom. I'm now trying to figure out what I'm going to do to give it a little more texture, I guess you would say. So I'm going to put a clothespin here. I use my clothespin. They're my friends. They're my extra hands. That's going to hold that tubing in place so it doesn't slide off the end there. And then I'm going to start weaving up and down a little bit just in this first section here, up to that first bar and then back to the bottom. And I'm going to go back and forth a little bit just to give it another little, like I said, a little weave pattern on this end of the heart. Now weaving back and forth through here, it does get a little tight, but if you just take your time, you can definitely push that mesh through there around each bar. And you just got to take your time and finger it around. But it definitely does get through. So here's the end result for what I did. Of course, you can do this any way you want. I wove back and forth, you can kind of design your own patterns of how you want to weave back and forth. But every time you reach one of these ends I'm pointing to, you got to kind of make a decision as to which way you'll go and how far you want those strands to go before they dip back under or come back over. So, it's kind of an area where you can just do your own thing. And then you can see here on the back, wherever I reach a end point, I take it and make a knot. You can even make a knot with this starting point, or you can just make a knot wrapping it around a piece of, stranded piece of the mesh. So I forgot to mention when I did start this, I started like at a halfway point on the mesh so that I wouldn't have so much to weave back and forth. So now the other half of the mesh is on this side. I'm going to work my way in the other direction. So you can do that, or you can just cut the mesh if it's too long to be, weaving back and forth. It is a pretty long strand of mesh, and I'm not even sure how many feet it is. So, pulling that entire length back and forth could take a while. So now that we've reached this curved part, the outer ring is, of course, much longer or wider than the inner ring. So what I'm going to do is go back and forth the entire width first. See that? And then when I go back up and I'm coming back in again, I'm only going to go halfway. So I'm going to go to that center ring, pull it through, and then go back to the outer ring. Now what that's going to do is give me another filler on that outer ring. So I'll have like one filler all the way across and then a filler on the outer ring. Next, I'm going to go all the way across again and then do a filler just on the outer ring again. And you can see that, and that's the pattern I'm going to do all the way around that curve. And that way it'll fill in that outer curve without jamming up the inner curve. That makes sense? And you'll see if you try it, it turns out great. You can see here it looks really even. Sorry, my hand's in the way. But the part you can see it looks really even, but it's completely filled without it being jumbled. So now when I reach this other section, I'm kind of going to do the opposite. The inner one is a little wider. So I'm going to do the halfway point and go back to the inner frame. So I got a long one and then a half of one on the inner. And I keep doing that till I reach the point. I'm sorry I have to apologize here. I don't know what happened to my recording because I did do a complete half of the heart. And then I just repeated the same pattern on the other side. So you can see at the bottom how the weaving was done at the point at the bottom. And I have two hearts here done. When I lift the other one, you're going to be able to see how different I did the weaving patterns at the bottom. So there they are. They're a little different. And it was just that with the one on the right was the second one I did. And I thought I'd try a different technique, see what happened. And of course, you know, you learn as you go. So the one on the right, I like it a lot better. It looks a little neater. So what I'm going to do is when I put these two hearts together, I'm just going to overlap the one on the left. So it won't even be seen. It'll be behind the one on the right. So I played around with this a little while trying to decide how I wanted to connect them and decided I would do just like this. I'm going to twist and turn it a little bit, get it lined up. But that bottom of the first heart, you can see now it's completely covered by the heart that's on top. And that's how I'm going to connect them. So I'm going to grab some of my tinsel ties and cut a few pieces because I won't need very much. And then I'm going to just stick that tinsel tie through both frames and then twist it on the back. So I'm starting with one edge here. Still trying to make sure I got it lined up how I want it to be. So I'm going through the top, straight through the bottom one, and around the edge, the rim of the heart, and just taking it to the back. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Stick it through the top and through the bottom. Well, that didn't work. I have to take this and make it tighter, or else it's just going to come apart. So I'm going to twist that, and then the wire that's at the end, I kind of tuck it under, fold it under, so that your hands don't get stuck when you're moving your wreaths around. So now I can do the other side. Same thing, just sticking it through both wreaths, going around that outer rim. And this mesh moves very easily, so it's no difficulty in getting that tinsel through. And I was trying to decide between that and a zip tie, but the zip ties I have a white, so I didn't want them to show. So I went on ahead and used the red tinsel ties, and they worked out just fine. If you're close enough, you can see there's a slight difference, but it's got a kind of shine to it or glitter to it, just like the deco mesh, so it kind of blends in very easily. In the end, I'm going to put some more decor here anyway, so very little of this section will be seen, if any at all. So all of those little stems in the back, I just tuck them down into the mesh so they won't be seen. The wires won't be cut in your hands. And now I'm going to make a bow. Here's the ribbon I'm going to be using, 2 from Dollar Tree, and the white and red one I had from last year. I think that's Michael's or Walmart. It might be Michael's. The 2 from Dollar Tree are 9 feet. I'm not sure how long the one is from Michael's, but I'm not going to be using it all. So I decided that I would let the hearts go in not one direction. I'm going to have the tail go in both directions, one up, one down, and then the loops are going to be 6 inches on either side of the bow maker, and the hearts are going to go, the tops are going to be facing out, the bottom of the hearts are going toward the center of the bow. So I'm going to make a 6-loop bow, and then I'm going to make a 6-loop bow with the red ribbon, and then I'm going to make a 6-loop bow with the white and red ribbon. So this is going a little quickly. I sped it up a little bit so you can see how I'm making the bow, but I won't take up too much of your time. If you're really interested in learning how to make a bow, I have an entire series on how to make a bow. It is linked in the description box below, and you will find all kinds of bows there using all types of materials. I have ribbon, I have jute cord, I've used twine, and what else did I use? All types of things. Raffia ribbon, different things like that, just so you can see how to make different ribbons, different bows using different materials. And some of them we just tested to see how they would turn out, not knowing if it would make a good bow or not. And we learned just by doing which ones we like as a bow. So here I am on the last part of this red and white ribbon. And as soon as I finish that, I will fluff my bow and get it attached to my heart wreath. Now that it's done, I'm taking a zip tie and going underneath of the bow, trying to make sure I have every part of that bow inside of that zip tie. So I've wrapped it around, I've tightened it a little bit, not a whole lot. And I took it off of the Easy Bow Maker, took everything off, and I slid the little zip tie around toward the back. In doing that, it kind of turned some of this ribbon, because this ribbon is very silky, it will move. And so I'm now going back and kind of pulling each loop out, making sure it's still facing the way I want it to go. And you can see I'm kind of shaking some of it and pulling on it and twisting and turning it, getting it just like I like it, so that we can have a nice fluffy bow. So I've gotten the bow all fluffed out, I've gotten the zip tie nice and tight, and I'm about to attach it to my wreath, and I remember I forgot to put a tinsel stem in the back to attach it. So rather than fight to get that tinsel stem through there, I know I can still slide another zip tie underneath the zip tie that's there, even though it's tight. So the one that's holding the bow together, I just trimmed, and now I have another tinsel tie in there. Have another zip tie in there to attach my bow. And I am attaching it, you can see, to the outer edge of the heart wreath, because I don't want it to cover the entire center of the heart. So I moved it over to the side as much as I could. So turn it upside down. Of course, I flattened my bow a little bit, so I'm going to do a little tiny bit of fluffing again. And I'm going to cut some dovetails at the end of the tails. And we're going to be looking at a brand new wreath, completely done, ready for Valentine's Day. It will be hanging on, this one I'm going to hang on my door, because like I said, I still don't have the business side together for selling wreaths. It's almost done, and then I've got main thing I gotta do is order some boxes and get them in so I can ship. All right, I hope you like this wreath. I'm going to show it to you on my door. I thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll be talking with you again real soon.